Weekly pay, you get a paycheck every week on the same day, and that's whatever day the employer decides to set it at. It could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever. Most commonly Thursday or Friday, but not everybody does that. So you get 52 paychecks per year. Bi-weekly is every 2 weeks, so that's every other week, and you get 26 paychecks per year. 2 months out of the year, you will get 3 paychecks because of the way things fall. So yeah, those months are nice when you have them. So what usually happens when that happens, you'll get a check the first week of the month, one right in the middle, and then one the very last week of the month because of how the every other week thing falls. So you get 26 checks. Now biweekly and semi-monthly do get confused because they seem about the same, but with semi-monthly you get 2 checks a month. So it's not every other week, it's usually on set days, like the 1st and the 15th. And it's right around every 2 weeks, but it's about like 2 weeks for between the first check and the second check, and then like 2.5 weeks almost between the second check and then the first check of the next month, depending on how many days are in the month. And so you get 24 paychecks per year with semi-monthly because you get 2 every month. And then monthly, you get paid once a month on a set day or a set date. So maybe you get paid every month on the 15th, or you get paid every month on the 1st, or you get paid the last working day of the month, which could be, depending on where the things fall, it could be anywhere from like the 25th to the 31st, or, somewhere in there usually. If you are getting paid monthly, you get 12 paychecks a year unless you're a teacher, in which case you get either 9 or 10 depending on how they break it up. If you do teach for public school systems, most of them do have an option where they'll keep back some of your pay and pay you over the summer, but the college systems don't do that. So sometimes you only get 9 paychecks or 10 paychecks a year. You have to budget that. And like I said, it can be a set specific date or a specific day, like last day of the month kind of thing. Questions about those? Okay, so direct deposit is when the bank receives your check, I before E. Okay, so your bank receives your check directly from your employer and deposits it in your account. Typically speaking, the money is available sooner this way, because if you get paid on, say, the 15th of the month, depending on the way your bank's policies work, your money will either be available at 8 a.m. on the 15th or at midnight on the 15th. So as opposed to if you didn't have direct deposit and you had to go get a paper check, you'd have to go to work on the 15th. Then you'd get your check from your employer, and then after work you go to the bank, put the money in the bank. Of course, the bank's closed, so you've done it through the ATM, and so then it really won't show up in your account for like 2 to 3 days. Right, yeah. So direct deposit does get you your deposit faster. You can, depending on the employer, you can be split into multiple accounts. Not every employer will do that. Every bank will. But some will let you. Some employers will say no. It just has to all go into one account, so you have it all deposited, say, into your checking, and then you can transfer money into your savings. Some will let you split it into 2 accounts. Some will let you split it into like up to 5 or 6 different accounts if you want to. You just have to set it all up ahead of time. So you not only do you get your money faster, you don't have to go to the bank. Oh, also, yeah, I know that you guys have all your mobile checking bank. You can do the mobile deposit thing now. But back when I was getting started out, we didn't have mobile deposit. You actually had to go to the bank. Hourly rate is the rate that you are paid per hour that you work. And this is different than salary. If you're paid salary, you're paid a set amount weekly, monthly, or annually. So it won't. You have a minimum number of hours that you have to work if you're on salary before you get docked pay, but there's kind of no maximum. So if you're getting paid for 40 hours a week on salary and you work 60 hours a week, well, guess what? You worked 20 hours a week for free because you're on salary, and salary is a set amount of money. Hourly, you get paid for the actual amount of time that you're working. Your regular hours are up to 10 per day and up to 40 per week. It used to be 8 per day, and if you went over 8, they had to pay you overtime, but that law changed sometime recently. So it's up to 10 per day, 40 per week. If you are on an hourly salary, any hour over 10, so you hit the 10 mark and you go into the 11th hour, that 11th hour they're supposed to pay you overtime. If you go over 40 hours in a week, they have to pay you overtime. That is a federal law.
For every state?
It's federal, yeah. So it's a federal law that they have to pay you overtime. Unless you are in a salaried position. If you are in a salaried position, there's no such thing as overtime unless the company decides to be nice and do it. It's only for hourly employees that are protected. So overtime hours, so any hours over 10 or over 40 are paid at a higher rate. That's, again, federal law. And the rate varies per company, usually 1.5 or 2 times. So time and a half or double time. So to calculate that, you would do 1.5 times your normal hourly rate for time and a half. And then double time is 2 times your normal rate. Sometimes companies do kind of a combination of the two. Regular overtime, they pay at time and a half. And then like holiday overtime, they'll pay it double. Because not only are you working overtime, but it's also like a holiday. So that's usually kind of how that works for most places. Very few pay double time for just normal overtime. Unless you work with one of those really cool jobs with like a really strong union. Your welders and things like that get paid a lot for overtime. So minimum wage is federally and state regulated. So if you look, here's our map. Not every state has a minimum wage law, so you can see that, if I can make this fit in here, that didn't really work. Okay. So you can see that the blue states, the dark blue states, have no minimum wage law. This means that they follow the federal minimum wage guidelines. The purple states, the minimum wage is lower than federal, and I am not 100% certain who overrides who on that, but I believe the state overrides the federal. So in these purple states, Georgia, Arkansas, and Wyoming, they can pay you less than the federal government says they're allowed to. So don't go live there. For minimum wage. The blue, light blue states, all these guys in the middle, like a nice stripe up here, and you know, Utah and Idaho and whoever these people are, pay the exact same as federal, and then all the green states pay higher minimum wage than the federal. So it's kind of nice. Look at us.
Like good for paying their people in general.
Yeah.
Like they get paid extra on taxes and stuff because they live there. Oregon and Washington are the highest.
Okay. Florida basic minimum rate is $7.93 per hour. Okay, so that's our minimum wage is $7.93. I am going to look up the federal real quickly. $7.25. Okay, federal is $7.25. So just fix that. So the federal was $725, and our current state is $793. Her annual salary is $3,700. What is her biweekly salary? Now remember, biweekly is every other week, so there's 26 paychecks. Okay, nearest only has one A. So I'm going to divide that by 26. So every 2 weeks, she's going to get $1,423.08 before taxes. Okay. Manny is paid semi-monthly, 24 checks. Okay. His semi-monthly salary is $1,239. What is his annual salary? So he's going to have $1,239 twice a month times 24 paychecks. 29 per year. Okay, Maureen looks at the local Chicken King. Yeah, at the local Chicken King, the king of chicken. Her regular hourly wage is $9.70. So what is her regular weekly pay? So she's working 40 hours a week at the Chicken King at $9.70 an hour. And she's making $388 a week. And if she works overtime, she has an hourly rate of 1.5 times her regular pay. So we do 1.5 times 970. Yeah, 970. So she'll get $14.55 an hour for those extra hours that she toils away at Chicken King. Janice earns $10 an hour. Her regular hours are 40 hours per week, and she receives time and a half overtime. If she works 45 hours, she gets 40 regular and 5 OT overtime. So 40 times 10 and 5 times 10 times 1.5, because she's got time and a half. So that's 400. And this is 5 times 15, right? So that's 75. So she makes $475 that week. Yeah. Oh, I was multiplying. I'll make it look better. It's 10 times 1.5. I'll just do it like that. That's even harder to see. Oh my goodness. I'll fix it. It'll be legible. There. This problem, we're going to go backwards, okay? She worked 40 regular hours and 7 overtime hours at time and a half. Okay, so if we call her regular hours X, and we'll call her overtime hours 1.5X. Does that make sense? Okay, so she had 40 regular hours and 7 overtime hours. And that ended up being $611.05. So far, so good? Okay, so I have 40x plus, I think 10 and a half. Yeah, 10.5x. So it's 50.5. And then I'll divide both sides by that. regular hourly rate is $12.10. The commission. There's two types of salaries that use commission. There's a commission-only based salary, and then there's like a commission on top of pay kind of a salary. If you're on a commission-only salary, like let's say you have a sales job where you're paid on commission only, you only get paid if you actually sell something. So if you work all week long and never sell anything, you don't get paid. Okay. Now the sort of the allure to those kind of jobs is that the commissions are usually a high percent, and it's usually a high dollar item, like a real estate agent. Real estate agents work on commission. They don't make money unless they sell the house. So that's why they want to get you the best price, like get you the most money for your house, because they're going to get their biggest chunk of their commission at that point. So people that work on straight commission is usually something like higher end, expensive cars, houses, expensive jewelry, you know, bigger dollar items to give them that sales. So that's kind of like the motivator for working in a job where you might work for a long time and not make anything, is that when you do make something, it's usually a pretty big check. Now then, there are other jobs that are commission and salary, and they usually pay like a lower hourly wage, but then you get a percentage of your sales, or maybe a set rate for every item you sell, you get X number of dollars, that kind of thing. Those are people in retail, typically lower end sales that make the smaller, but they usually get an hourly on top of it. You know, all those telemarketers that call you on the phone and try to sell you stuff, yeah, they're making a commission. Okay.
They get paid crappy commission.
Yeah, they do.
It's crappy.
It is. It's a low commission. It is a low commission.
They get paid crappy hours too. They get like just minimum.
Yeah, pretty much.
Depends on the place.
Yeah.
Some telemarketing firms will pay you pretty decent hourly rate.
Depends on the firm, yeah. Now, royalty is a commission, but it's a special kind of commission. And it's a commission paid on the artistic endeavors, the arts. Singers, like musicians and things, they get royalties off of their album sales and concert ticket sales and T-shirt sales and, you know, all their merchandising and stuff, yeah. Writers get royalties off their book sales. If they're a movie writer, they get royalties off the ticket sales for the movies. Actors, certain types of designers get royalties. Producers, directors, artists, you know, anything that, like, if their work is being kind of like mass put out there, they'll get a royalty off of it. So, like, for example, you know how they always show the reruns of, like, Friends on TV?
Yeah, they get royalties.
They get royalties every single time an episode of Friends airs. They get money. So they love that the reruns are on TV, right? Because they're still getting a check for something that they did like 15 years ago. But then there's other actors that don't get royalties on what they're doing, because like every time, you know, some random commercial airs, that random whoever it was in the commercial may not get a royalty. You know, so it just sort of depends on the contracts and everything. But royalties are how the majority of people in the arts make their money. Like a writer, like, okay, let's take Stephen King. Stephen King will get an advance on his novel. They'll pay him to write the novel, but that's like a loan. And then when his book sales start happening, they take that advance out of his royalties, because he actually only makes money on the royalties from the book sales. And the movies and, I don't know, mugs, T-shirts, whatever. I have no idea what kind of stuff Stephen King has out there, but probably. But so he's getting all these royalties. Now you have something else that's a piece worker. This is not as common anymore, but have you guys ever seen those ads to assemble products in your own home and you get paid for it? That's piecework. You get paid per the item produced. Okay. Some factory workers get paid piecework. They get paid per clock they put together or something, or per pair of jeans they sew, or per dress that they sew. They get paid for each individual item. Some farm workers get paid, like if you're, I don't know, picking apples, you'll get paid per bushel of apples that you pick. And that's piecework. So you're paid per item that's produced, and the piecework rate is the amount you're paid per item. On those assembled products at home, usually it's something really easy to assemble, and so it doesn't take a lot of work, and so you get paid very little amount per item, but like you can put together a lot of them. Like I actually had a friend that did that put together, put ball bearings into wheels. That was their piecework job. They put ball bearings into wheels. That's all they did all day long. And they only got paid like, I don't know, 10 or 15 cents a wheel. But she could do hundreds of these things in a day. So, you know, the easier and the smaller the thing is, you get paid less. The bigger it is, you get paid more. There was a thingy that snapped. I'm not really sure. Adriana wrote a textbook for high school students, and she gets 10% on the total sales of the book. The book is $47.95 each. There are 17,000 copies sold. How much does she get? So first we find out how much were the total sales. So we multiply the total number of books sold by the price of the book. And we get 815,150. And then we take the total sales of the book, and she gets 10% of that, so that's 0.1. So she's actually going to get $81,515. Okay, so now here's a commission. This is called like a tiered commission, in case you ever cared. Okay, and the way a tiered commission works is, say you have like levels on your sales, and so they're trying to encourage you to sell more because you get a higher percentage the more you sell. And so here she's getting 11% of her first $900, and then 17% of anything over $900. So last month she sold $1,250. Okay, so we subtract 900 of that because the 900 will be at the 11%. And so you're going to have 350 of it at 17%. So then we'll do 900 times 0.11 for her 11% commission on the first 900, which is $99. And then we'll do 350 times 0.17 for the 17% commission, and that's $59.50. And so altogether, she's making $158.50 for those cosmetic sales. And things that are structured like this, I don't think Avon does tiered, but I'm not sure about like Mary Kay and, okay, yeah, there's like, this is kind of like Avon, Mary Kay, I don't know who else does makeup sales. She makes fancy dresses. She's paid $85 per piece, and yesterday she made 3 dresses. So she made $245 yesterday. Tony, on the other hand, picks strawberries and gets paid 45 cents per container for 200 containers, and then 65 cents per container for every container. Did I do that wrong? Yeah, I did. Thank you. Good catch. I didn't carry my one. I was doing it in my head.
No, we were looking into the
I took $10 from her for finder fee. Okay. So last week he picked 270 containers. So he's going to have 200 containers at the 45-cent rate. And he's going to have 70 containers at the 65 rate. Fine, I won't do this in my head. Okay, so that's 90. And that's 45.50. So last week, doing the back-breaking strawberry picking labor, he made 135.50. So, if the profit on the car is under 750, he makes 20%. So less than 750 is 20%. If the profit is at least 750, so we'll call the profit X, and we'll say it's at least 750 but less than 1,000, he gets 22%. If the profit is above 1,000, greater than or equal to 1,000, oh, sorry, no, just above. There was an equal to here. Then he gets 25%. Okay, so we're going to compare the differences in the just that $1 would make. Okay, so if we're $749 commission, we're going to get 20%. But if we're $750 commission, we are going to get 22%. So this is just to show you what a difference $1 can make when you're working on commission if you have a tiered system. $1 made a difference of $15.20 in your pay if you're at the lower end of the spectrum. If you're at the higher end of the spectrum, if you make exactly 1,000 versus 1,001, you're talking about a $30.25 difference. $1. Now, if you're not on a tiered system, like if you're on a flat commission and no matter how much you sell, it's 20% or something, the dollar's not going to make a big difference. But if you're on a tiered system, there's a cutoff line. And if you go just above it, it can make a really big difference in your paycheck. Last one, and then I'll let you leave. Okay, Joyce works at Fortunato's Furniture, and she's paid on commission. She gets 10% of her first 900. So we do 0.1 times 900. And then she gets 15% on the balance. So the balance is her sales minus 900. Okay. So balance is sales minus 900. Okay, and last week she earned 750. So 0.19 times 900 is 90. So I've got 0.15 x minus 45 is equal to 750. I'm going to add 45 to both sides, and that's going to give me 795. And then I'll divide both sides by 0.15. And her sales were $5,300.